Thank you for tuning in to Words of Wisdom Wednesdays. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Sia.
All right, so this is a very special Remembrance Day interview we're having today. Sia, would you like to introduce our guest?
Yes, we have Stephon Almeerali, and he is a 2-time veteran. He went on tour twice to Afghanistan, and it's very good to have you here today.
Woo!
Thank you, Sia and Michelle. It's very good to be here. Yeah.
Tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, it's going back from where I was born. Born in Trinidad, Port of Spain. Moved to Canada in 95. And then I went to school from Holy Cross to Vancouver College. And then from Vancouver College, decided to go to the Army. Joined the Army in end of August 2006 and started my career in the Army.
What made you decide to join the Army?
To be honest with you, it's my first Christmas I can remember when I was young. My biological mom passed away when I was young. I was 7. The one Christmas I remember, she bought me one of those, those little plastic toy soldiers?
Yeah.
Yeah, she bought me that from for my Christmas present. And, being in a third world country, you kind of have to make things up to be, have fun. And
use your imagination, right?
Yeah. So I used those little toy soldiers, and I was kind of playing with it and as a little kid. So then when she passed away and I was up here in Canada, I kind of felt like I kind of need to, have something to remember her by kind of thing. So I kind of joined for her, but also for my own knowledge and experience and just being out there, kind of traveling and being the best I could be, right?
Take us through that journey of when you started training and then went to Afghanistan. Was it a long wait list, or did you even have to put yourself on a wait list, or did it just, boom, happen?
Yeah, here you are. You're getting shipped off.
Well, that's a long story, actually.
Oh, do tell
Okay,
us.
do tell.
Well, you go through your whole basic training and whatnot. You do all the training. And then I went from Saint Jean, Quebec, posted to Gagetown. And that's where I did my actual training for my unit. And I went through, became top student of my course. And then from there, I believe like 10 or a number of top students get chosen, their first 10 or whatever. Gets chosen to go onto Armor Corps training, which is the heavies, the Leopard tanks and all that kind of stuff, right? And then we went through that. We managed to, finish that top class again, top driver, Leo Leopard driver, and made it over to Edmonton, where I got posted. On arrival, we were told that workup training was pretty much done, wrapped up. So the people who's getting ready to go over to Afghanistan is pretty much wrapped up and done and whatnot. But I was working, doing guard duty from a guy who went AWOL. I know you guys know what AWOL is, right?
Oh, do you want to explain that just for our listeners if they don't understand?
Yeah, AWOL is if someone from the military who's supposed to be on duty, ends up missing. So don't show up for work or their task.
No one knows where they are.
No one knows where they are. Well, it could be in two things, that, something bad happened, or they just kind of ran away from the Army, or ran away because they didn't really want to come. And that's what happened. He didn't want to come. He got caught. And I was doing guard duty.
Can I ask you, so what happens when someone goes AWOL and they get caught?
A lot.
A lot.
It all depends on why, what, how long.
The reasoning.
The reasoning, everything. All right. Usually it's jail time in the military. You get charged. You go through, there's a whole thing you go through.
So then your job was to guard him, and then what happened next?
Yeah, my job is like make sure he doesn't commit suicide or anything like that, right? But while doing that, within the third day of doing that, I got a call saying that I'm going over there. I've been chosen to go over to Afghanistan and get geared up, pretty much. Right.
Wow.
So
that was quick.
Yeah, it was very quick. I wasn't expecting because I was told that I wasn't going. Right. So I was happy at the same time because that's part of what I really what I wanted to experience. Right.
Yeah, you wanted to go and fight, right?
Go and fight. Go and help people,
help
right?
people.
In general, being Canadians kind of thing and do my job.
So when you were on your way to Afghanistan, though, what were your thoughts? I know that you told us that you wanted to help people and whatnot, but, you know, you're going to a dangerous place where they told you weren't going to go initially, but what were your thoughts when on your way over there?
And also, did you tell your family and friends?
No, actually, I did not tell anyone. I just kind of kept it a secret. People asked me what I was doing, and I was like, you know, I'm just going training back in the field. You know, I'll be going for a while. You know, you won't be able to reach me, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Didn't even tell my mom. I didn't want anyone to worry, be nervous for me, especially if there's a lot going on back here. I didn't want to put any more stress on my family or my friends or anyone. My thoughts are going over there, though. You know, I was doing it as it's my job kind of thing. But at the same time, in the back of my head, I know it's dangerous. But at the same time, on top of that, is I didn't know what to expect. I've never been over there for the first time. And, yeah, you hear stories, but, you know, seeing it in real life is always completely different.
Can you describe it to us? Like, describe the moment you got on that special plane and to the landing, getting to your...
The moment those doors open and you're in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Like, what went through your mind?
Yes. And can you tell us where you were stationed?
So, when I got on the plane the first time, you know, it kind of... It doesn't really hit you yet. It kind of does. It's like, woo, you know, you're a little excited to... you know, for new adventures and stuff. And you know you have the training, so you're not really worried about that.
You, like, rely on your training,
Yeah,
right?
you rely on your training and whatnot. But it started getting scary when we got close to Afghanistan. There's something like red light flight, and it's when the plane comes in. Most plane comes in at an angle and descends very slowly, whereas this one coming into a battle zone, so it kind of comes in and also kind of drops out of the air. Yeah, it drops pretty vertical. It drops straight down, and then also at the end, I guess they hit the thrusters and kind of levels out. But they come in, it's called hard landing, right? They come in so no one could kind of shoot us out of the air, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like right then, it kind of hit me like, whoa, like
this is real.
This is real. It's actually happening, you know. And then we land, and as soon as those doors open, man, it's hot.
I bet. Where did you fly out from again?
I flew from Canada. It was
like, where were you in Vancouver or?
I flew from Alberta,
okay.
Edmonton, and then.
And where did you end up?
End up in Canada airfield.
The difference in weather is probably extremely drastic, coming from like the northwest to like.
Yeah, you're flying to a desert, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But they prepare you for that, right?
Yeah. We did training down south. But it's still not the same.
Well,
you know? It's like a dry.
So then take us through your days then after that.
So after landing, we end up you go through the whole debrief and briefing of why we're here and what we're going to do. And then we jump back onto the plane and go to another location, right? But this time we're using helicopters instead of actual plane, right? Mm-hmm. Because the runway is not long enough to land. And then that's where we get our battle brief and our rest of our gear and whatnot. And who's ever posted to that area stays in that area. That's the home base kind of thing for where everyone is kind of situated. And then from there, whoever is going outside the gates is called outside the wire. That's from there. That's where they leave, and that's what I had to do. So I went from there. I went outside the wire and actually lived in the village where my forward base was.
So were there people there in the villages, or could I call them rebels?
Insurgents. We call them insurgents.
Insurgents. Had the insurgents kicked them away, or just describe this town?
When I first got there, this was 2008. It was kind of dead. It was like a ghost town. There was a whole bunch of villages. We were surrounded by villages like mud huts and grape fields and stuff. And it was dead. There was a few people here and there, but it was essentially dead. Kind of creepy, scary. Like,
yeah,
you know, those kind of scary movies. Kind of walking in like a little, everything quiet. And then especially like at night when like you're doing guard patrol or actual vehicle patrol or whatever, and it's so quiet and you're just listening and you hear like
anything,
crackling noises and stuff, and it's like, whoa. But yeah, there was still a few people around who didn't want, the ones that didn't want to leave. Yeah.
And were they accepting to you and your troop, or were they more like, were they distant?
Mm-hmm. What did they think of you guys?
How did they treat you? Did they treat you like
Well,
terrorists, or did they treat you like thank you for helping us, or we understand why you're here?
That's a very good question. A bit of both. They weren't really our friends. Honestly, they don't really want us there, to be true.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's a few of them who did want us, who like the Canadians, that is, being there.
Oh, you just said the Canadians. Could you explain?
Yeah, get into that a little.
Yeah, so when it comes to the Americans, they didn't really like, they weren't really fond of them compared to us, right? And there's probably there's reasons behind that.
Of course.
Yeah, I don't need to. Everyone knows why.
Two totally different countries neighboring each other, but Canada is a little bit more accepting of different cultures and religions and races and stuff.
And I feel like U.S. was also there with a different intention slightly.
Exactly.
And Canada was there. Does that make sense?
The U.S. kind of pushed themselves to go there, and Canada followed in after. So,
yeah, that makes sense. That explains a lot, right? And that's what I was saying before. There's reasons for why they like us more than Native Americans.
Yeah. So if I could just backtrack really quick. So when you landed in Afghanistan and they gave you like a battle debrief or whatnot, you said that they also gave you gear. Could you actually let us know what kind of gear they gave you?
Yeah.
He's like, yes.
Yeah, I can. Yes, I can.
Okay.
The gear is, the typical, well, I won't say typical, but our main gear. So it starts off with a frag vest, and we have our attack vest, but we actually get ammo and weapons, whatnot, because we're not allowed to travel with those, of course, right? So those are already shipped ahead of time. So our personal weapons. Like for me, I had a C8 with an M203 grenade launcher attached to it, and then I had all my grenades, all my mags, and
Wow.
and my pistol, right? My 9mm pistol. So given all those things, all our actual gear for doing the job, protecting ourselves as much as possible and our family, and then we get sent on our way.
And you were saying your job. So what was your job when you were there? I know you said you were a driver, so could you tell us about that and what danger you were in so people can understand?
Yeah. My first tour, I'm a armored crewman. An armored crewman is a member of the Armored Corps. We deal with all the armored vehicles, anything to do with armor, pretty much, which is the Army combat trade. My bread and butter was the tank. So the Leopard 1, C2 tanks. And we also had Leopard 2 tanks as well. These are actually German tanks.
Really?
That's Canadian equipped. We bought them from them. My job as a driver was pretty much to drive the tank. People think being in a tank is very safe. Actually, it's not. It's not safe at all. Yes, it takes a good hit, but it's so low to the ground. It's good for bullets and stuff because bullets will just bounce right off. But for our biggest threat over there, for this whole war of Afghanistan that took out most of our soldiers, is IEDs, right?
What are those?
It's implement explosive devices. So it's in-ground devices, explosions.
Oh. Okay.
So they dig them up. They dig up the ground, put barrels of explosive in the ground, and then we drive over them.
How do you detect that? You must have had to keep your eyes out for every single little thing.
We train hard. This is where the workup training, helps out a lot. I'm lucky because I wasn't the first one to go over to Afghanistan, so we already had experience before of different scenarios and situations that has happened, and we have adapted our training towards that, how to look for an ID, how to recognize this or that, what to look for. Like, for example, if you see disturbed dirt, right, it's a desert we're in, so the desert, the ground's pretty dry. But if you look and then you see that the ground's dry, but this one spot's kind of looking like someone just dug it up, or it's kind of different color, be cautious of that area, because obviously someone might have just dug that up, put an ID there, and it's a booby trap set for whoever gets nearby.
Wow.
Who's ever the enemy is, right? But like I say, going back to a driver, tank is very low. If a tank goes over an IED and the IED explodes, the driver is usually the first one to get the blunt of the hit.
Wow.
He's the one who usually won't make it, right? As a driver, it's it's one of the worst positions, but every position is bad. Once you're over there.
I don't think there's any good position in a war.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, after your first tour, what was your second one like?
My second tour, I did I did pretty much I consider a back-to-back tour. So I came back from my first tour, and then after all the debriefing and taking a little bit of time off here, we went right back into training.
How long was the time in between?
Time in between, probably only 6 months.
Oh,
Yeah,
That's very
roughly.
short.
that's very short.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue.
And then we start training again. After training again, go back over, and it starts all over again. The second time around, though, is more getting to know people. Because at this time, like I said, when I first landed on a first tour, it was very ghost town-like. By the end of that first tour, people were starting to move back into the village because our presence were there. And after a few, fights with the insurgents and whatnot, the people realized that we were actually there to help them and, provide for them and, try to
Give them protection and
Give
help
them protection,
win their
but-
village back.
help them,
something like
help them fight their own war kind of
Okay.
thing,
Yeah.
and help them.
You just said you had interaction with the insurgents. Is there a moment that you were like, oh my goodness, this is just like really seeing the light of things, like seeing?
Seeing the actual reality of war.
Yeah, I had there's quite a few times. There's multiple times. Like, for example, it's called Rocket Hours, actually.
It's called what?
Rocket Hours.
Rocket hours.
And,
It's like, okay, it's that time again.
well, exactly,
What
because...
time is it? Rocket time.
Rocket time. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, because in a certain period of time, they would send rockets into our camp trying to,
Blow you up?
blow us up, right? So,
That's intense.
yeah, so we will... within that rocket hour, we have to be fully dressed pretty much every time we leave the bunker and went outside to do anything. Right?
Was that in the daytime or in the evening?
It's more in the evening, but it really, to be honest with you, it could be any time.
Yeah.
It was just that time period that we got more rockets in at that time. But it all depends on when they want to fire. So yeah, like I said, every day you never know what was going to happen. Something was going to happen.